Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. You know, yesterday I did a story about Black Bob from the Mexican Mafia. Today I'm going to do a story about Corny, who's a North Star familiar. Now I got some comments. They asked me, how can I be friends with these different branches of these different organizations that are mortal enemies, that have been killing each other for however long they've been doing it? I have friends that are from the Texas Syndicate. I have friends that are from the Texas MA, Minnesota. I have friends that are Crips. I have friends that are Bloods, that are GD, Vice Lords, and on down the list. I don't belong to any organization. I have my own gang out here. You know, through the course of my life, before I went to prison, I made a name for myself out here. But coming into the penitentiary, I'm a young kid. And the way I carried myself, the way I conducted myself, whichever yard I've been on, these dudes that are made men took a liking to me. In Lompoc, I sat at the table with Black Bob, Topo, Beto, and Gato. I'm the only one on the compound that was allowed to sit at their table when they weren't there or when they were there. Their own homies couldn't sit at the table. But I'm not affiliated with them. I have a relationship with them, a personal relationship with them. But again, me being Asian, I'm in a unique space that I don't have any enemies. They're not my enemies. And if anybody know the history of the Asians and Mexicans out in California, you know, in the 90s, late 80s, all through the 90s, there was a green light on the Asians. And they were at war with the Sureños. So when I went to enter the prison, me being Cambodian, you know, when I first went to Florence on my first bid back in 95, I caught my first federal case in November of 95. I ended up going to the prison at early 1997, but I was in the FCI. When I hit the yard, I was the only Cambodian on the yard. As soon as I hit the yard, all the Chinese, all the Vietnamese, they were like, hey, you know, they got a green light on all the Cambodians out in California. There's a war going on in California. You know, my reply is, I'm not from California. So if these dudes got an issue with me, they can come holler at me. So one day on the compound, I'm sitting there, we're working out. I'm with these other 3 Asians. A couple of them were Laos, one of them was with Vietnamese. This is my first week on the compound. We out there on the weight pile, working out. And then all of a sudden, the other 2 dudes left. You know, after we worked out, the other three dudes left. The 2 Laos dude and the Vietnamese dude, they just walked off. They didn't tell me where they were going or nothing. And I'm just sitting there on the weight pile waiting for them to come back. While I'm sitting on the weight pile, 4 Sureños pulled up on me. You know, they came up and was like, hey, what's up, Holmes? I said, what's up? I say, you Cambodian? I said, yeah, I'm Cambodian. Like, you know, we got a green light on your peoples over there out in California. I was like, and I'm not from California, Holmes. I don't got nothing to do with whatever you guys got going out in California. You know, I'm from Utah. I don't know what they would expect, but whatever it was, whatever movie they were going to bring me, I'm with it. Been with it my whole entire life. But at the end of the day, throughout the course of our conversation and the course of my time in FCI Florence back in 96, 97, 98, I earned their respect. And that's always been my MO, the way I conduct myself. When I entered Lompoc, I was embraced by dudes that were shot callers and bosses in their organization. And before I finished my bid, I became their equal. I'm not here to pat myself on the back, or prop myself up, or to make anything up. I'm just here to share my journey with you from my perspective, from my eyes, from the things that I've seen, and a few things that I've done myself, and these people that I've met, these people that I built rapport with, that I became friends with, that to me are legends. They came before me, they paved the way. And the story that I'm going to share with you today is a guy by the name of Corny. He's from Nostra Familia. He's not just an NF member, he's one of the founders. I had said in prior videos that he's been locked down for 30 years, and people has commented, oh, ADX has only been open since the 90s. Yeah. But if, as you know, in the California system, those that are gang affiliates, especially the Black Hand or the NF or the ABs, they're slammed down in solitary confinement. He's been in ADX since whenever he got into the feds, but before that, he's been locked down. While I was in while I was in USP Florence, they let him on the compound after 20 years or something being inside ADX. And when he came on the compound, me and him got to know each other. I didn't know him or anything before that, but I was cool with a couple of the norteños that I was in Lewisburg with. Dude named Tiger and a dude named Paya from DGF, Don't Give a Fuck. And me and Tiger ended up being on the yard in Florence together after we left Lewisburg. And he introduced me to his homeboys, and we had little functions and stuff, and they got to know me. I'm brand new. They don't know anything about me, but through the course of the time, the way I conduct myself, as far as business-wise, or as far as when confrontation comes up, I earned their respect through how I dealt with my situation and then the situation around me. And Corny, he's been in the feds for I don't know how long. He's been in ADX with some of the older Asians, Islanders that came before me, that he had rapport with, that he had respect. So when he came on the compound, I was introduced to him. And one day, all the norteños are out on the compound and they're having a little picnic. They got burritos and other foods that they've made to come and eat together. I come on the yard to get some rec, to go out, do my pull-ups and do my dips and play some handball. While I'm out on the back patio, one of the norteños came and he had two burritos wrapped up for me. He's like, hey, this is from Corny. Corny doesn't talk to nobody on the compound outside of his people. He's been isolated in solitary confinement for decades. So through the course of our conversation, I kind of got a little insight on how he felt about being in population. He confided in me that there's a lot of movements because, once you're used to being in a cell by yourself or being locked down 23/1, 27 hours a day, when you get into a compound where there's all sorts of movements and stuff, it could overwhelm your senses. When they call it a yard move and they're coming out of the block, all the norteños are surrounding him. He's in the middle. His security is tight because, through the course of his career, he's got multiple bodies, and there's people out there that don't want him to be alive. So, but this is the life that he bought into. This is the life that he's accepted. And me and him, we became cool. I'm not going to go as far as saying that we were friends, but he extended a friendship to me when he had his people come and bring me some burritos while I was on the compound. And then a couple times he was my partner when we played handball in the gym. At this time, he was already in his 70s. I'm in my 40s when I met him, but to him, I'm still a youngster. And to me, he is the OG. I don't put these guys on pedestals or anything like that. But according to the life that we live out here, according to the life that I've lived, that I bought into, these are people that I do look up to. These are people that I do respect because they bought into this code. They bought into this life and they stuck with it. Regardless if they were facing 100 years, regardless if they're getting multiple life sentences, and regardless if they're slammed down in one cell for the rest of their lives. Like these things, I tell people the life that we live is not for punks. It's not easy. So for these men to wake up every single morning and work out and continue to live their life, to continue to feed their family, they have to be commended for that. Because these men in there they got life sentences, they got 100-something years, they know without a shadow of doubt that they're going to die there. So it takes a special individual, it takes a certain type of heart to be able to deal with the time and in the environment that we were in. So for those that survived it, for those that did it their way, yeah, I pay homage to them. Through the course of my bid, I did my time my way. I didn't join any organization, but I've dealt with them. I've had businesses. I've dealt businesses. I've done business with them. And at time here and there, I've aided and assist. Just like they aid and assist me. So going back to Corny, he grew up in Arizona. He was in the juvenile system in Arizona. And at the time in the 80s, I don't know exactly what year or whatever, they had a program, maybe late 70s, early 80s, they had a program that they were sending the youth out to California. And from there, he went out to Northern California and became one of the founders of the Nostra Familia. The man that I met, I don't know anything about him other than the few months that he was on the yard. The man that I met was feared by his people. And when I say feared, I'm not saying, they're running around shaking in their boots or nothing. Fear out of a place of respect. Because here's a man that's done his time, that's led the way, that's paved the way. Him and his people created an organization that spanned across the United States. A lot of people that look at us, look at people in this life, they think that we're lazy and just a bunch of hoodlums and thugs and looking for the easy way out. But there's nothing easy about this life. And it takes a special individual to convince people that they can lead them. And no matter what organization you're from, the gangs that's been spread out throughout the country, whether you're a Crip, a Blood, Vice Lord, GDs, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, whatever. These people have created organizations that have spread out throughout the whole United States. They're structured. They have laws and rules that they live and abide by. But Corny, he wasn't on the compound very long. He was there maybe 6 months at most. And the administration came and locked him back up because he felt that he had too much authority, too much power, and et cetera, et cetera. But these people are sitting there rotting away in the penitentiary. Some of you guys never even heard of this man that I'm speaking of now. And the rest of the world might never will. This man that I'm speaking about today, some of you guys might never even heard of him. and might not even think anything of it. But me coming home, before I came home, I told the people that I fuck with what I plan to do. My ideas of, doing this YouTube, doing these things, because while I'm in there, I see people on TV that, by all account, I consider lames. Dudes that haven't earned the right or the privilege to share these stories. They're looking up on the internet, they're looking up on cases, and then talking about it like they know something about that life. But they don't. I know about that life. I've lived it. I've lived it since I was a kid. And as far as this life is concerned, I've done everything that I'm supposed to do. I'm just at a time in my life now that I feel like I want something better, not just for myself, but for the generation that comes behind me. Because a lot of these dudes that are out here gangbanging stuff have no idea what they're signing up to. I was just in the county jail with a dude. He's an Asian dude, but he's running Norteño. Well, that's the gang that he's running with out here out in the streets. They put him in my cell the day before I left. And he's asking me questions about what's going on in the feds, how is it running the feds, and then he tells me, oh, when I get to the feds, I'm gonna run Asian Islander. And I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? You're gonna run Asian Islander? You're a Norteño. But he's okay with gangbanging out here in the street, but once he gets put in the box, he wants to go a place where there's less friction, where it's safer. And to dudes like that, I don't have any respect for. I got respect for those that ride and belong, that ride with the shit they signed up for. Because dudes like that, what are they gonna do when they get there? They're gonna tell stories. When they call home, they're gonna tell stories how they mob in the yard, how they doing this, doing that, when the whole time they're hiding, and there's a lot of them hiding. And there's no disrespect to any of the people that's in there that sign on to any of these organizations that's got patches on them, that's got tattooed on them, that's been made. But truth be told, and you can see on the comments that people that function with me, that's been on the compound with me, half of them can't even tie my shoelaces. But I'm not here to pat myself on the back or to elevate myself that I'm this or that. I'm just sharing you guys my story. So for all the haters out there, miss me with all that shit. Welcome to the USP.